these successful patients that have the broadly neutralizing antibodies we can put them on everyone so that everybody can generate these antibodies. And that's how we do it. We take the blueprints from these patients, we put it in the genome of the immune cells of the patient, and now the immune cells of the patient can generate these super effective antibodies against HIV. Now, it doesn't stop there, because the immune cells that we modify, they evolve, they change, they adapt.
कहते हैं कि जब भी जीवन में आप परेशान हो और आप कुछ करना चाहते हो, तो अगर आपने दिल से किसी चीज की इच्छा की और आप मेहनत की, तो आप उसको जरूर पा लेंगे। नमस्ते, मेरा नाम आयुष केसरी है। जज्बात के अगले एपिसोड में मैं आप सभी का स्वागत करता हूँ। हर एपिसोड में एक नए सक्सेस के साथ मौजूद होते हैं, उनकी जीवनी को लेकर के उन्होंने क्या नया और क्या अच्छा किया है। आज ऐसे ही कुछ सक्सेस हमारे साथ मौजूद है। आज हमारे साथ जो शख्स मौजूद है उनसे हम बात करेंगे कि उन्होंने क्या कंट्रीब्यूशन किया है साइंस के फील्ड में। नमस्ते, आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। आई वेलकम यू टू फॉर द शो टुडे। थैंक यू फॉर जॉइनिंग।
Thank you for having me.
So what has interested you to get into biology? It was through some inspirations, or your parents has put you to get into biology?
That's a good question, because up to that day I don't know. Really, my dad doesn't have a high school degree. He's more of an entrepreneur, and so I'm a first generation college student, and well, I wanted to learn neurobiology actually, and psychology. Always was interested about how people think, and I think biology was an entry for that, for doing the science behind the real science, behind psychology, and so that's probably why. Yeah, that's probably why I studied biology.
And so when you entered the biology classes, right, and when you have already enrolled into the course of this, so what has fascinated you to continue your career into same?
Well, I was good about with what I do, right? I mean, I published 3 papers on the subject of gene editing because I really liked what I did in the lab, and how we can really advance science and develop new drugs. So that's why I continued, just because I enjoyed what I do, and I keep pushing forward.
So if I ask, right, when we see human body, right, when I see you, you see me, or the people we see, right? We as in non-science people, non-biology people, we only see the figure only, which is visible. What you see actually as a biologist, as a scientist.
And it's a different thing, right? Science is hard. It's very hard. So when you do science, you have 90% of what you do basically fails, right? And that's the way it is. And yeah, if this is something that people don't see when they are not scientists, this is what I want to tell them. That, well, science, in order to see something coming out of a project, of a work of somebody, most of it was failures, right? And what people need to remember is that, well, just like for anything, if you keep pushing forward, if you keep working hard, something will come out of all of these failures. There will be a success.
I'd like to now talk about your recent research which got published on Nature, which says the HIV has a cure now through white blood cell and the invention which you made. So why you chose to do a research on something which was last 40 years, 4 decades, it was impossible to find a cure? And what all failures you went through? Tell me something that you have been working on and then you didn't work out and then you reached to this level.
It's tough to say. Many projects were involved in order to reach that. These publications about a single shot treatment for HIV. We had many troubles on the way. Sometimes, like I said earlier, things didn't work out. And sometimes, science is a very competitive field. So basically, you have multiple groups that work on the same thing all together. And each one of these groups, what they want to do is have their publication first. They want to publish first to be the say, I'm the one who invented that. I'm the one who contributed first. And so one of these failures for me, I expect, is that my first paper on that field, I wasn't the first to publish. There was another group from the United States that did the same thing as we did, actually multiple groups, and they did exactly the same, but they were the first to publish. And that I felt it hard, I felt, oh, that's tough for me. I wasn't fast enough. I wasn't good enough, And then I continued because I like what I do. And we had that second paper on HIV, and that one, we were the first. We were the first, and nobody beat us to it. And I'm happy that I was able to contribute to the science, just like they did a year before.
So when you see the other earlier methods or techniques have been tried for the cure of HIV, and when you see your technique, how different both techniques are?
So we are using a new method. Like HIV is raging for many years now. You have 40 million infected with the virus, and there were many things that were tried. But recently, there were new technologies that can allow us to modify cells very efficiently. So at first, what we did is, okay, we can use these new technologies of gene editing. It's called CRISPR-Cas9. It's called adeno-associated vectors. It's called site-specific modification. So many technologies are involved in here. And we thought we can combine these techniques in order to modify cells of the immune system to fight HIV. So we did that, but after we thought, maybe we can improve even further. Maybe we can do that with a single injection. Instead of taking the cells out of the body, modify them with all of these new technologies, and replace them into the patient, what we can do is like an injection, and that's it. And we were surprised that, wow, that works. It can actually provide a single shot treatment for the virus.
So the last year, the very first June, your article got published regarding the same, and people have appreciated it. And this year came within the third trial, been earlier vaccinations, been worked on the same cure, has been failed immersively. So how do you see both things together? When you see it in hope, you're giving in hope to people who are 40 million said you people, that 40 million people have been suffering from the disease. The virus basically affect your immune system. And your one injection, which the research says, can help people to be better life and can get into it. And where other researches which have been done, the clinical trial have been to immersive failed. Do you see bigger pathways goes ahead, or the stronger future coming?
I believe we are very close to a cure. Now that's true that the science I published is a breakthrough, but nevertheless, there is still more work in order to completely cure HIV. We'll need a few clinical trials to run, and afterwards, we'll need to roll out many patients in order to make that happen. And of course, there will be a need for more investment in the field. But our techniques is not the only one. There are also, in addition to all of these clinical trials that failed, there are also successes along the way from others, right? One of these successes, for example, is something that is constantly improving, and that's the antiretroviral therapy, ART, the cocktail that people take on a daily basis. It's becoming better and better over time, cheaper and cheaper. So patient can take it. Instead of having to take 10 pills, now it's a single pill adapted for each one of the patients. So really the small increments, improvements to treat lifelong HIV infection, that's really important. But now we need to move to the next step. The real next step is to curing that pandemic once and for all. And for that, we are close, very close. We can do it. I believe in 10 years, 15 years, we can do it.
If I ask you, what challenges you see coming years for the cure?
Well, the first and foremost challenge, I think, right now is investment. The biotechnology field, the whole economic, right? The whole world economy is not in a bad shape. So investments are sparse, and HIV will probably not be on the top of the list of the things that people will want to try to invest in, even though we are close to the cure. So I think this is the main challenge to achieve the cure as fast as possible, is to aim and try to invest more in the research against HIV, because it can be done.
So when you see an HIV patient, have you met people who are suffering from HIV all around the world, and what were the experiences you have got through when you have met them?
I don't think I've ever met a patient that was infected with HIV. I live in a small country, very bubbled, and my life revolves around the lab. So the only things I hear are from outside, are from the internet, and I mean, that's probably why the investment for HIV is low, because for many people like me, they are not in contact with people that struggle against this disease. And if they were, I'm sure it could help. I'm sure we could be more compassionate and invest more in the thing. You see, sadly, people see it as a third world disease, and that's not the case. It's not the case anymore. HIV is around the world, and we can do more in order to cure the virus.
So you believe HIV is not a disease as of now. It can be cured, and it should not be worried for people in the country. The only challenges which you see is the investment part from different people who can get the research done and help the clinical trial to be done, right?
Yeah, we and others are working tirelessly to make that happen. And right now, people that are infected with HIV can have a good life using the cocktail, and they should. And there is still, sadly, stigma against people that are infected. And that's why people that are infected, from what I've heard, they live in fear. They live in fear of saying to other people, well, I have HIV. Today, having HIV is nothing. You take the drug and that's it. There is nothing wrong with your life. But there is some people that see, oh no, and that's bad. That's bad. We need to make it so that the current people that are infected with HIV, while we wait for the cure, can have a better life, a more social life, can enjoy, talking to people without the fear of saying who they are.
I really appreciate the way you said it. You said the stigma which is associated with the disease, it has to be taken over now. People who were saying this HIV is something which can harm other people, but no, it cannot. So you have a healthy lifestyle. You have one medicine which you said take a pill and then. So what message you would like to give to all people who are suffering from HIV and the people who are not even? So what kind of lifestyle and people should do and give respect to people who may be suffering from?
We should not see people infected with HIV as they have, I don't know, leprosy. Some people, we see them like that way. And people that are infected with HIV should be confident in themselves to continue living their life and aim to achieve, to have a family, to have a good job, and not being afraid, So if there were ways to fight this stigma, that would be amazing. And I think it's a part of each one of us, right? We can all help to fight this absurd stigma that is occurring against people that are infected with HIV.
Can you throw some light on your research paper and the life of laboratories of yours, where you have experiences the failures, and then you have raised the motivation to do research again, to move again, and then do again. If you can share any two stories of yours where you got failures and you motivated yourself to do research again.
There are many times that I came back from the lab and I was so sick of it. Too hard. The results didn't come through, or something didn't work out, or something broke down. And then I remembered, well, that's why I do what I do, because I like to resolve these issues. I like to go against these challenges because that's enjoyable. That's the best thing we can do as scientists, and many other jobs that have similar approaches, where you see a challenge and you want to resolve the challenge, make the work done. So if that requires to work more, okay, fine by me. I can do that. If that requires me to think more, well, fine by me. You know, whatever is the solution for a problem, I believe there is always a solution for any problem. Sometimes it takes years in order to find it, but yeah, don't give up. Continue on, and remember that that's the challenge. That's the enjoyable part of life. The failures are something that you gain strength from. You know, there is that old adage, whatever don't kill you makes you stronger. Well, the sentence is correct. I mean, yeah, when you have something that comes negative towards you, it actually builds you up.
So if I talk about the research of yours and the technology involved into the research and the cure, right? So earlier the medication parts, if I to talk about ART, which people have been taking as a medicine to be cured and to be a normal lifestyle. So what technology is involved and how basically basic research which you have done is eliminating the virus from the body. Can you throw some light into it?
Yeah. So we all know about antibodies from the corona pandemic, right? These are the molecules that our body secretes in order to target the virus and to neutralize it. Now, for HIV, every patient that is infected also develops some of these antibodies against the virus, but they are not good enough. That's because HIV is the king of escape. If you hear about one variant of corona that happens once in a month, HIV constantly has variants, new variants. They emerge inside your own body. So it also always mutates in order to escape the immune system. Very few people develop what we call broadly neutralizing antibodies. These are antibodies that are insanely good against the virus because they can target all the HIV variants almost. And so what we thought is, well, we can take these antibodies from the patients that generate them, and we can edit immune cells of the patient so that he can create these antibodies based on that blueprint, based on the blueprint that these successful patients that have the broadly neutralizing antibodies have. We can put them on everyone so that everybody can generate these antibodies. And that's how we do it. We take the blueprints from these patients, we put it in the genome of the immune cells of the patient. And now the immune cells of the patient can generate these super effective antibodies against HIV. Now it doesn't stop there, because the immune cells that we modify, they evolve, they change, they adapt. So what happens is that we have a self-improving drug, something that has, to my knowledge, in medicine doesn't exist. Imagine you take a drug, and the stronger the disease is, the stronger the drug becomes, right? It really adapts and evolves. So that's what I think is really cool about the science that is behind what we do, because we make something that becomes better by itself. We don't need to touch it; it becomes better.
So hindrance was the reservoir, right? The HIV reservoirs were the more hindrance, because once you in the medication, reservoirs have been saved HIV viruses which replicate again and again. So how this technology been replacing this or reducing and killing the reservoirs and eliminating it away from the body?
Yeah. So the problem with the reservoir is that it becomes silent all the time. What happens is that the virus hides, okay? and it can wait years. It has all the time it needs, okay? So when you try to treat somebody, you give him a treatment, and then after the treatment is gone, then the virus comes back. It goes out of hiding because it senses that there is no more treatment and that it can go do whatever it wants. In our technology, the B cells, the cells that we modify to generate these antibodies, they also sense the virus. So they are able, if they see the virus coming out of hiding, they also expand. They start attacking. If there is no virus, if the virus is hiding, they remain silent. So we play the game of hide and seek two ways now, right? We can sense the virus when it comes back and target it. And if it's not there, we also hide. So that's a nice trick, I think, from that approach.
That's interesting, right? If you see, compared to the games, if you see the games inside the body being played, once is hiding and once is trying to get themselves to kill him. So it's very interesting, right? And hopefully you have made the whole interaction also that way interesting. So once it comes to the cure and then finding this virus and killing it into it, do you see other set of challenges as well, which still need to figure it out, or we already have done a lot into it?
Yeah, there are many more challenges. We've worked mainly with mice right now, and we are working with monkeys, but we still did not use that technology in humans. We need to use that in humans in order to prove that first it's safe, and then that it's very effective. And once we do that, I'm sure it will work out.
So when we can expect first clinical trial to be done on this research and technology?
I think we are very close for it. Yeah, we have tons of data in mouse. We get some more data in non-human primates, monkeys, so that we can achieve a first clinical trial with the FDA very soon.
So will be it in Israel also, or it will be a collaboration into different countries, set of people will be participating into it?
Yeah, we are working in Israel, in Germany, and in the United States. Most of the work on the HIV in monkeys done in the United States. They have the facilities, they have the knowledge, they are top-notch scientists, so that's great. And we are pushing forward in the Israel and Germany sites, using that technology, not only to fight HIV, but now to start thinking about new diseases that can be also treated the same way, to play the game of hide and seek and to play the game of having a drug that can become better over time.
Yeah, so is there any part India also be playing in your research?
I hope they will be soon. Sadly, I don't know any scientist in India to start any collaborations on that, but I hope they will be soon because that would be amazing.
So with this video, I would request Indian scientists to participate into collaboration and get the research ahead. So my last question and next question would be, so we talked about HIV, we talked about technology, and we talked about the research part, and you also mentioned right way that this research and technology can be used to cure other diseases as well, like cancers and other diseases. Can you throw some light on same other perspective as well, how it could be used for different diseases as well?
So that's what I mentioned. What we are working on also in the United States, but mostly in the Germany and Israel sites, is we can use that technology to target cancers. There are some cancers that have absolutely no real effective treatments. And I think we have a new way to approach some of these cancers using these cells that now express a new antibody. We can make these cells, instead of targeting HIV, they can target the cancer specifically. And now what these cells will do, they will bring all their friends, all the immune system against cancer. That's really relying on new advances in cancer immunotherapy, new changes that we've seen that cell therapy in cancer starts to boom, really. CAR T cells, TCR T cells, they work really well for some kind of cancers. And I think B cells, edited B cells, will work very well for some kinds of cancers as well.
So this would be my last question. what kind of suggestions and advice would you like to give to new people who are into science and who would like to be scientists and get into research and curing, like finding a disease to cure like you, or considering you as an inspiration?
I am an old school guy. I would give the two advices that are very important. One, don't give up. You will have many failures, and don't mind any of these. You will learn from these failures. But the second one is probably the most important, that worked the best for me. It's work hard. There is no other way. Work hard, and you will find a way. You will be the first. You will be a precursor in your field. Don't give up on yourself to try and aim high.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and it is really an honor
It
to
was my pleasure, Ayush, really.
interacting with you. And thank you for being so honest and genuine and beat down. This is so down to earth replying my own questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ayush. I had a great time as well.